We have Dr. Ebuka Ibeke joining us now virtually for a conversation to look into education on the continent. Of course, he's a senior lecturer at the Robert Gordon University who specializes in business and data analytics. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us, Doctor. Good to have you on the show this afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So we have a myriad of issues. We just reported a case of fire in two of Kenya's schools, and I think the backdrop of which is a major concern for most people is why are we having on the tens in boarding schools in the first place? Children that should be integrating with their parents in the very early stages of their life are being sent to boarding houses. Don't we think that's already an educational anomaly?
I don't think boarding houses has any educational anomaly that it contributes to education in general. But the most important thing is what are the kids learning? So when we look at the curriculum in general, what are the kids learning? And if we compare that to what we have over here in the UK, for example, how are they meeting up? So boarding school, just like you pointed out, for me, it's not a problem in any way.
Shouldn't we have a specific age where children should be sent off? The reports coming out of Kenya, they're telling us of children from like ages 5 to 10. So in the Nigerian system of education, you'll be having them from like primary 1 to primary 5 already doing boarding. Is that not a concern for you as an educationist?
No, for me in particular, I think that's a concern. I wasn't aware of the age group earlier on, but if we have boarding school from secondary schools, that's far better. But at the age of 5, kids should be with their parents, being nurtured and trained at home, and taught the basics of life, and not in the boarding schools.
Okay, so we see that education is a major concern on the continent. Right now, we are hit with, insecurity, politically generated crisis also. And we've seen in most parts of the continent where education has had to be put at a standstill, because even health crisis. And we're seeing this having very serious consequences on the education sector in Africa, rather. But we see that there's something put in place called African Union peer learning mechanisms, which should be affecting how education should be done on the continent. What's your thought? Looking at the prevailing circumstances, how do you think Africa should be going forward with education?
Well, the issue of insecurity that you mentioned affects education in general, right? I mean, if people don't feel secured, they wouldn't be able to have the interest in even going out to go to school in the first instance. So our education system and the governance in general they marry each other. When I mention governance in general, it's the duty of the government to provide secured environment for the African child to be able to go to school. And not just providing the environment, they also need to provide the basic amenities that these kids need to be able to learn and develop and feel secured within their environment, within the learning environment where they find themselves.
Okay, so we are seeing a great disparity between what's available as education in the West and what's available on the continent, especially where curriculum is concerned. So our children are not even at par with children in the Western world. And at the pace that we see, it doesn't look like we're going to catch up. We're also seeing the influence of AI on education as it is. We haven't even caught up in the personal usage of this, talk less of education. How do you think we can breach that particular gap? And it looks like we need centuries to do that.
First of all, I will start by commending Africa because we are bright people, okay? But like you mentioned, there is a huge gap between what we have in Africa and the Western world. In the Western world, we're already talking about 6th industrial revolution, but in Africa, we are even not up to 3rd industrial revolution, as it were. We've also seen lots of bright students. Like I am the course leader of our MSc Business Analytics at Robert Gordon University. And we have a lot of Nigerian students, Ghana students, Kenyans, and the rest of and the rest of Africa come through to study at BSc levels and master's level. And you see that there is a huge difference between what they bring on board and the level we are expecting them to be before even coming out. But although this is a disadvantage, like I've mentioned earlier, the folks are bright. The bright ones catch up with the system and are able to develop themselves. There are so many of us, let me use us and count myself in, because I studied in Nigeria before I came over here to do my master's. However, we've also seen that there is a huge difference, a huge gap in terms of our education curriculum. If I take myself for an example, I studied computer science in Nigeria. And as a 4 years course, within these 4 years, we only had, computer practicals 2 times in 4 years. Yeah, that's very strange. Unlike here, where even primary school kids, secondary school kids are already developing systems, websites, database systems, programming, and all of that. So we need to invest more in education. We need an overhaul of our educational system in terms of curriculum. And if we need people to help us do that, we have a lot of brilliant guys who are even within Nigeria and outside Nigeria that can be contracted to revamp our education curriculum and set it at a place where we can be able to, compare ourselves or even compete with the Western world.
So we are also going to look at how, I think you've already brushed it, how African students, perform when they get to the West. We see a lot of them, graduating top of their class. I think it gives birth to when you already said Africans are naturally bright. But let's look at partnership with those that have gone outside. We even have tutors, teachers who have schooled like yourself, Africa, partner with Africans to come back and affect the education sector in light of the developments that we are seeing on the global space?
Yeah, we are very much open to coming in to help. I belong to a research group called Aberdeen Nigeria Research Group. Okay. So this is a group of Nigerians who are academics in Aberdeen, because we have 2 universities in Aberdeen, Aberdeen University and Robert Gordon University. And the academics, researchers within these 2 universities who are Nigerians, we have a group, a vibrant group. And we've done a lot of collaborations within ourselves in developing AI solutions, for example, in agriculture, in law as well. I have a master's student who is developing a chatbot that can enable people to interact with laws for different countries. And this is a Nigerian that I'm mentioning here. So we have bright people, and we are open to collaborate with institutions in Nigeria. We are open to collaborate with the government in providing such level of education and system.
Okay, so part of the concerns that we also have as we try to wrap this up this afternoon is the fact that the current curriculum that is peddled across Africa, and I would also like for you to give us, examples of African countries where the education is better, because we also have to be able to look to Africa for quality as opposed to all of us going to the UK, the United States and the likes for education. But we are looking at the fact that our current curriculum is ill-equipping Africans for the, civilization that we're seeing globally. It's like one of the questions I asked before, but let's talk about can we quickly mitigate this? Like you said, our development is far behind. Let's talk about mitigation once again.
So in mitigation, I think we need both government and private sectors to invest heavily, not just in education, but in upskilling, right? We need to upskill people. It mustn't be from, going to school. Like in the UK, they have what they call apprenticeship, right? So people, if you don't want to go to university, you can go through the route of apprenticeship, where you learn hand in hand the technology that you are interested in. So industries, private sectors can develop such opportunities for our people to be able to, key into AI, key into technology, and be able to upskill themselves, even though they've not gone to the university.
Not like to advertise them, but do we have quality schools on the continent offering the quality of education available on the West that we can look to as of now?
I'm afraid I cannot mention any at the moment, but looking at technological development across Africa, countries like Kenya are doing quite well in terms of technology. So they may, because some of my colleagues have had some partnership with some universities in Kenya. So for that, I might say Kenya, but again, it cuts across Africa.
It cuts across Africa. So one last question. The likes of, what's his name? Elon Musk, the owner of X. Those are some of the people. I mean, we're also talking, Bill Gates was recently in Nigeria, talking about dropouts from, conventional schools who have gone ahead to be great people in their different fields. Would you say that, classroom education is a necessity in the future we are going to with all of the trends available?
It is important. In Nigeria, we say education is scam and stuff like that. It is not. It is very important because it is the foundation through which all these things come to be, right? People can do apprenticeship or self-learn by themselves and develop without going to the conventional route, but you cannot take away the importance of this conventional route. You can name just a few people who have gone out with the conventional route and made it, but you cannot compare them with the number of people who have gone through the conventional route.
Necessary.
So education is super important.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ibeke, for coming on the show this afternoon. It's been great having a conversation with you. We do hope to have this conversation some other time. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
All right, then. That's the much we can actually talk about on Spotlight Africa today. Education is a strong need, and a lot is affecting the quality of the continent. Like he said, we do hope to see public-private partnerships to invest in the sector in Nigeria. That's the much we'll take today. My name is Uyai MM. Thanks for being a part of Spotlight Africa. Bye-bye for now.